Morning, Chair. It's Chris Crimmen here. It's just 10 o'clock when you're ready.
Thank you, Chris. I'm ready to go live whenever you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our special VEM meeting this second day of December. Seasonal greetings to those that are joining us on the wonderful world of YouTube. We have a small agenda items today, so I'm going to move swiftly on to our first item, which is 548/20, declarations of any pecuniary interest. I believe I can't see any hands up, so we have none. That's great. Item 549/20 is apologies for absence, and that's to receive apologies. Over to our Minute Secretary, Chris Crimmins. Chris?
I've received no apologies except to say that Councillor Burdett is still having trouble, but I did give him a telephone link, so I won't put him down as an apology unless he comes through. So no apologies, thank you.
So we've got a full complement of...
No, I'm afraid there's 3 councillors missing. Would you like me to name them?
No, thank you. No, thank you. Just a note. Thank you. I just also, although not a member of the committee, I had a note through from the Chair of Finance, and considering the subject matter, she's otherwise engaged. It's a shame she can't join us, but she kindly sent through a note to make us aware of that. So that's from Councillor James. Thank you for that, Jane. So on to our one item agenda. 550/20 is review of budgets, and it's to review and confirm committee budget for the financial year 21-22. I'm going to hand over to our VEM officer David, and then after that invite our finance officer Alan York to give us an overview on why this item's come back, not just to this committee but the others as well. David.
Okay, thanks, Chair. All the cumulative budgets went to finance last week, and the preliminary forecast for the total precept was a double-digit raise, which obviously councillors didn't have the appetite for that. So what they've done is asked all the committees to resit and review their budgets for 2021-22, which is what we are doing this morning. So we're first up on the community rosters. So looking at the VEM budget, or actually by the time this actually kicks in April 1st, 2021, we actually will be, as a result of the committee restructures, the venues and marketing committee. So that's how this budget is being presented. If you look at the budget on the screen, there is a very little expenditure fat to cut, to be honest. There are only 2 items on expenditure that are expenditure only, which is the entertainment licensing, which is your PRS contributions, etc., throughout the year, and marketing communications, which we set a forecast budget at 7,500. There is 3. The third item is the maintenance and repairs, which we originally set at £10,500. So they're the 3 expenditure only. The rest are all aligned to income versus expenditure. So really, unless we generate the income, the expenditure will be relative to that income produced. So I'll hand over to Alan in a minute because he'll explain how we've revised it. But just to touch on the expenditure again, we've lost our town events to Civic. They will be delivering those from 2021-22. So as I said, there's very little fat to cut on expenditure only. But I think Alan's going to explain what we've done in terms of our other budget. So I'll hand you over to Alan, if that's okay, Alan.
Thanks, David. I think when looking at the VEM budget, we had budgeted income as if there'd been no COVID-19 interruption. And when we had a look at that, it meant that VEM was contributing about £83,000 into the kind of overall surplus that was being spent by other committees. And from a finance perspective, we're a little bit worried because when we had done our revised budget for the 2021 year, we had actually anticipated there to be income generated by VEM, and that hasn't materialized. So I think that indicates the extent to which it's going to be very difficult to generate income going forward. So what we've done as an SMT, we've just had a look at the figures. We've reduced the income figures down to what we think could be realistic, so that we don't generate a huge surplus that ends up in the general pot for other committees to spend. Now, being an accountant, we have to be prudent and conservative, etc. So I think we have done that. But what we've taken into account is that if our income, kind of projected income, does increase, it means that we can actually revise our budget and start reinstating some of the kind of council-wide activities that we've cut. But that's been a little bit of the logic behind our thinking and how we've arrived at the revised budget. But I can stop there.
Thank you, Alan. And I'm now going to just open it out to questions and comments from colleagues. I can't see if anybody's got their hands up at the moment. Chris, can you?
I'm sorry, I'll check for you.
Thank you.
Councillor Terry Jeremy.
Thank you. Hello, Terry.
Morning, Mark. Thank you. A couple of questions and comments, if I can. I've got a little bit of a list. Alan, can I just check, although obviously within the direct VEM budget heading, we don't have a line for business rates because they are grouped together collectively for the whole of the organisation, now probably under finance, I should think. Did we as a council look at any of the COVID-19 business grants? I'm
not too sure that we did, because they were focused at the retail and hospitality sector. So as far as I'm aware, that hasn't actually happened.
I asked that question because I was at a Breckland Cabinet meeting, as you were this week, Chairman, and I was disappointed to learn that Breckland had to return some unspent COVID-19 grants to the government. And I was talking to Breckland last week about town council finance generally, and they did ask if the town council had applied for any of those grants in the same way that village halls across Breckland did apply, even though they're run by the parish council. They did apply and they were successful. So I just wondered, I assume we're not paying business rates this year because of the sort of business rates holiday. So that's a sort of saving for this financial year, I should think. But I just wondered if we had looked at what opportunities there were for grants, given we've lost so much income from hiring.
From a rates perspective, we haven't been given a rates holiday at all from Breckland. So our rates bills have remained constant for the year. They've been deducted from our bank account over the 10 months, so that we haven't fallen, Breckland haven't deemed us to be, or to have fallen into that particular category. I know that other businesses that have got it automatically. So the fact that Breckland haven't given it to us automatically, kind of possibly gives us an indication that they don't consider us to be kind of targeted beneficiary. But that doesn't mean that we can't follow that up, and I'm quite happy to do that.
Yeah, I don't know what you feel, Chairman, but if we're giving money back to the government as a district because it's not being claimed, we want to make sure that we are claiming if we are eligible as a town council, because I don't see the difference between the Carnegie Room and a village hall. It's just a bit bigger.
Yeah.
So that's something I just thought I'd throw in to explore. The other question I was going to ask, we've got a couple of questions around events, which is probably more for David. I know that we're still budgeting some expenditure in relation to events, £3,000. I understand it's going to Civic, but I'm not on Civic, so I'll ask now. But we're not budgeting any income at all for events. So presumably we'll just be delivering free events. Is that my sort of correct understanding of that?
We've lost town events to Civic, so this is not actually attributed to the contribution we made in previous budgets to town events. This is the it's almost, we talked about the seed money, if you like, for venue events. So if we're going to deliver our own events and we need to engage a band, then it would be for the deposit that they would require. We talked in the previous VEM meetings that hopefully you would always be a successful event and get that money back in terms of income generation through ticket sales, etc. So, but what you want to do is, if you're going to try and generate significant income, you'd have to have a pot of money where you're probably paying deposits for 3 or 4 events in advance. But by the end of the year, you would hope that if all the events were successful, you wouldn't have even spent any of that money, really. So we've downgraded that to help us, but we've left enough in there to possibly be able to pre-plan, pre-program, if you like, a couple of 3 events to try and hopefully generate income going through the year.
Okay, I mean, I'm quite happy for there to be an expenditure line for events, because obviously, if we can, I want us to deliver events. But I think it would be fairer to include an anticipated amount of income in the income line. The difference is we're sort of I don't think it's a fair representation of sort of income and expenditure related to events, and therefore other committees are having to sort of cut budgets unnecessarily so. If we put, even 1k or 1.5k in anticipated events income, I think that'd be a fairer reflection of what's likely to happen.
Yeah, that's a fair comment, Chair, yeah.
Okay. So, you got another one, Terry?
Yeah, I've got two. Yeah, thanks, Chair. I don't see anyone else indicating, but I'm happy to give way whenever you want. I was also just going to ask about cleaning arrangements, because presumably there's a formula you've used to work out the proposed reduction in cleaning costs, which is, if there's less usage of the venue, then obviously there'll be less cleaning costs, which is perfectly fine. I don't know if you want to sort of say what that formula is. I mean, I've worked out a 1/3 reduction in hire, but a 20% reduction in cleaning. Would that be about fair, or are we sort of not reducing the cleaning by as much as we should be?
No, if you're looking at the original budget report, we did speak about this in the senior management team meeting, that actually it was titled under the wrong heading. It said maintenance and cleaning. If you look at the budget on the screen, it actually says maintenance and repairs. And that is something that we introduced this year as the need for making repairs to redecoration and things like that. So it doesn't come out of reserves all of the time. So we can have an ongoing program of maintenance and servicing and things. So it's not necessarily attributed to cleaning. That's in staff costs. We actually have a venue cleaner. So that's not really signified in this line. That was just a mistake in the original budget report.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Stuart.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, on Terry's first point, I'm wondering whether we didn't qualify in terms of the Carnegie because of the rateable value. Seemed to be a threshold above which, if you had a rateable value, then you weren't eligible to get these things. But please, Alan, follow up, see what we can and can't get, because also there's the ones where you've got entertainment venues that have been mothballed for a while, where there have been grants available to support those. But I suspect we've missed the boat on most of these possible grants that are there. But saying that, there still could be other little bits that we could be eligible for. Obviously, we've looked at the prudent. With my accountant's hat on, I understand, Alan, we've got to be prudent. We've got to be look at the worst case scenario and set a budget. Obviously, with a vaccine on the horizon and possible Easter as a start of resuming normal play, shall we say, I accept that we will have a long lead-in time getting bookings up and running and what have you. But obviously, we've looked basically a third of what we would have done. But I'm conscious that our financial year starts effectively April, and so we will have a full 12 months to look at it. But obviously, I understand with the need for prudence. But gut tells me, I think if we do come out of this Easter, that we will be delivering a bit more than a third of activity. That's just my observation.
Thank you, Stuart. So, Alan, just on that, are we able, in 6 months' time to review our budgets, given that we're in such a fluid situation?
Chair, we are. I think what we've looked at to do is to say, I mean, I think the one thing we have done is we've got our accounting processes are really quite up to date. I mean, I can give you accurate figures for November. They're not 100%, but they're fairly accurate because that's what we do every day. What we're looking to do is to revise the budget like we have done this year, where we've actually looked at it, we've done an assessment, we've changed it. We can't change the precept. So once the precept is set, and that's why it's so important to have that right. But if our projections are too conservative, and I think the point that Stuart made, if our income does start picking up, there is the opportunity to revise the budget and reallocate it, because it would be pointless just for the money to sit in the bank account and not be used when we are trying to be relevant to our residents and community. But the one thing we have taken into account is what I did when I was looking at the revised budget, is I profiled on a quarterly basis where VEM gets its income from. And Q1 traditionally has been our strongest quarter. So we've got more higher income, we've got more bar income from that quarter. So if we lose that, in this year, Q2, which is the summer, is our weakest area. So it's quite interesting that, if things only start picking up after Easter, we possibly could lose our best quarter of the year. So that puts us a little bit of a disadvantage. But I do think that keep, monitoring the budget, and like I say, we have to be prudent, and I think it would be wise to be prudent. If we have to revise it, we certainly can do that.
Thank you. And Tina at Town Clerk's just confirmed that in the chat. Thank you, Tina. Tina, because I just mentioned, do you have any comments? Can I invite you in?
Yeah, I'm just checking through my emails about the rates. I'm fairly certain that we asked for the rate relief as soon as the COVID situation came up, and were told that we weren't going to get them. So we have actually pursued that avenue when it initially came out. I'm just trying to find the email to confirm that, because that obviously would have helped us immensely if we'd have been able to do that. So I'm just checking in that. I'm just trying to check that while we're in meeting. If I can find that email, I'll confirm it to you. Also, just to say, I keep saying it's my tagline at the moment, that the budget, what we're doing with the budget is that we're deferring activity to make sure that we are being responsible as a council and that we're not spending money that we have not yet generated. What this means, though, is we fully intend to, as soon as the income starts coming in, is that we will resume activities. So what Alan was looking at was a quarterly revision of the budget throughout the year. So each quarter we can look at where we are, and then the council can make a decision on what we start to stand back up again. It's good news about the vaccine, but we don't know how long that's going to take to actually come into full force across the country. And therefore it is about us being cautious initially, but then as soon as the opportunities arise, taking them and getting us back into full stride as soon as possible.
Thank you, Tina. Earlier on, when I invited David to open the item, he identified. I can't see. I've got any other speakers with their hands up at the moment. But David highlighted 3 areas where the budget we were seeking to revise the budget. Colleagues, would you like to take them on block, or would you like to discuss them individually? I would need someone just to respond to me because my ESP antenna is not working today.
Councillor Jeremy.
Thank you, Chair.
I'm happy to take them on block, Chairman, but with the small change I suggested to events income.
Okay, thank you. David, can you, Stuart, sorry, you got your hands up.
Yeah, I was happy to take them on block. So I think, that we've been through, I think we're all aware of the dire straits we're in, and, I accept what has been presented today. So I'm quite happy to take it on block.
So, David, can you just remind the committee what those 3 changes are, and also Terry's slight alteration as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to accept the slight alteration on events income because it is in parity with the slight downgrade in the events expenses. So we can adjust that slightly. In terms of event, which is licensing, I don't think we can do much about that. That's why there's no change, because it's all about PRS and our statutory commitments. The marketing and comms, again, I think, you know, even though we've been in strict lockdown with terms of the venues, we do have as a committee a general commitment to the town council's marketing and comms. We hold that budget portfolio, if you like. So there's no change there, because there will still be a need to expend that budget line. And also, we have discussed in the past, and we're in dire need to make certain changes to our website. We all agree there's several deficiencies currently, so we'll need some income or some monies to actually make those changes. So really, it's the maintenance and repairs that we've downgraded by £3,000. So that's the only area that I feel confident that we can reduce. In terms of going back to Alan's earlier point, it is all about reducing the risk in terms of our forecast income. If we are too overconfident, then it's going to mean that the council's at risk of not generating that income. And VEM in past has generated something like 35% of the total income that the council must gather over the year. So we need to be cautious. I understand where Alan's coming from. Our first quarter is traditionally one of our highest income generators, and the second quarter is poor. So if we miss that opportunity in the first quarter, we've basically written off half a year. Although I'm always a positive individual, and it's not to say that if we are able to generate income, we will certainly be firing on all guns, and we will look at the second quarter. And going into the second quarter this year, I think we've got more of a chance to generate income than we've ever had, because people have deferred weddings and other celebratory parties, and I'm sure they'll be looking for venues to hold those. So as soon as we get the opportunity, we will be exploring every opportunity to generate an income. And as Alan said, if we revise the budget up because we're being more successful, that's only a good thing, because we can. Yeah, sorry, Chair.
No, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that everyone's clear on what we need to do today. And actually, just because you referenced, you know, we're in a fortunate position as a committee where we generate income for the council. And I'm pleased, actually, through the work of the committee, our forward plan, we've got projects coming forward that are very much about that. You know, so that will drive that forward anyway. But does this need to be a recommendation to the Finance Committee? This
yes, it does. It does go back to Finance before full council takes the ultimate decision.
Yeah, and apologies for cutting across you there, David. I was just eager.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So, would anyone like to propose that to go back to the Finance Committee, the recommendation for the revised budget?
Would I like to propose it?
Is that Councillor Burnett?
It is indeed.
Thank you. Thank you, Colin. So we have a proposer. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay,
Yes,
all those in favour?
Aye. In favour? Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Agreed.
Yes.
So,
Would you like me to go through the people who are here, Councillor, or no? Chair?
yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay.
Just for those people joining us.
It's an important vote, so I'm going to call you out in order, please, if I may. So, Councillor Barretto? For or against?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Burnett?
For.
Yeah. Councillor Canham?
Agreed.
Councillor Crawford?
Agreed.
Councillor Harvey?
Agreed.
Councillor Jeremy?
For.
Councillor Robinson?
As you know, Chris, I don't vote for
Yeah.
the chair unless I have to.
Yeah. Councillor Wright.
4.
Thank you. That's unanimous. Then. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I just want to offer a thanks to all those that have engaged with this, because it's difficult setting budgets in what we would call normal circumstances, let alone a year when we're dealing with something like COVID. And thank you again to Alan, Tina and David for the preparatory work, and indeed the Chair of Finance for the preparatory work that's gone into presenting this report to us today. So with that,
just before you close, Chair, if I may say that the town clerk has put a note.
Chris, just one moment, I can see that, and if I just
Thank
finish,
you.
please. Thank you. So I just want to thank all for the preparatory work that's gone on in delivering this. I will, Tina.
Thank you, Chair. Just say I've just submitted the query reference the rates to BDC. I'll have a chat offline with Alan and David, because this all happened in the first sort of 4 or 5 weeks of COVID, so it may have been phone calls. We probably all just need to go back through our emails and see if we can find it.
Thank you. And can you circulate that to committee once you have a definitive response, Tina, please?
Yeah, certainly, because I think it's kind of interest across the board, really. I know that other councils have been turned down. I'm just trying to find the query about ours, because they may just have different circumstances.
Okay, thank you. And I can't see that I have any other people wishing to speak. So with that, I will close the meeting.